Hello and welcome to English Digest. I'm Seb.
And I'm Elsie.
And
Chinese New Year is coming, Seb.
Yes, Chinese New Year is almost here. Oh my God, I am so ready for a vacation.
What are your plans?
Well, I think this time I'm just going to chill in Taipei. It's been a really tiring semester. And I have a lot of work to do next semester. So I think I just want to, stay home, watch some movies,
Nice.
maybe hang out in Taipei, stuff like that. But I guess you'll probably be going back to see your family, right?
Right. I'm going back to Kaohsiung to visit my grandma.
Oh, awesome. Does your grandma live in Kaohsiung City or does she live in the countryside?
In Kaohsiung City.
I
just need to take the high-speed rail and I can get to her house.
Oh, nice. And you hopefully will have some nice warm weather as well.
Yeah, and everybody in the family is going to gather together and to have a great feast.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, feasting, that's a really big part of Chinese New Year, isn't it? Or Lunar New Year,
right.
We could also say. So, will you do anything afterwards? I know that sometimes people go around Taiwan or abroad after they feast, right?
Right, maybe we will have a trip together.
Oh, that would be very fun. Okay.
What about you? Are you going to take any trips?
Yeah, no, I don't
Taipei?
think this time. Not this time. Not
Okay.
this time. But hopefully when I graduate in the summer, I will do a big trip then. Okay, so we're talking a lot about Lunar New Year, about Chinese New Year, and that's actually what our first sentence for today's translation exercise is all about. So, our first sentence is, Lunar New Year is a time for family reunions, prompting people to visit family and gather together to enjoy a feast.
今天我们要翻译的句子中文是呢，农历新年是家庭团聚的日子，促使人们探望家人并聚在一起享受盛宴。所以 Lunar New Year 其实就是 Chinese New Year。
Exactly, yes. Lunar New Year is one of the three main translations for 农历新年 in English. The others are Chinese New Year and the Spring Festival, which is what it's normally called in China. When Chinese people say it, they say Spring Festival. All of these names refer to the same holiday, though, so all of it is 过年, basically. So, what do you normally do with your family over Chinese New Year, Elsie?
We eat, we go shopping together, sometimes we go hiking or relaxing a hot spring since it's winter.
Oh, yes, that's a very good time to go to the hot springs.
And if we stay at home, we play mahjong. Can you play mahjong?
Oh, I'm really good at mahjong.
Do you like it?
Yes, I love mahjong.
Nice. And sometimes we watch movies or sing karaoke at home.
Oh, that seems like so much fun. Oh, I definitely want to join for mahjong next time.
Okay, we should play mahjong together.
Yes. Maybe not bet money, though, because I feel like I will lose a lot. We can just play for fun.
Bet something else.
Yeah, bet. Okay, snacks.
OK, 这边呢，时态我们要用的是现在简单式描述事实，所以是点点点的日子或时间，我们可以用 is a time for something。那注意哦，不要跟这个 it is time 搞混了。It is time 的意思是该是点点点的时候了，用法是 it is time for somebody to do something， 或是 it is time that somebody 后面加上过去式。那 that 子句里面的动词啊，需要是过去式的原因，因为要表示与现在事实是相反的。那 that 还可以省略哦。给同学们一个例句 It's time that we replaced some of these old computers 代表我们是时候更换一些旧电脑了。
We can also use time phrases to emphasize certain points we want to make. For example, if it's high time that something happens, then that thing needs to happen now. For example, it's high time the government cut taxes. People are paying too much. If we say that it's time that something happens, it's about time that something happens, we can say that it's roughly the right time for that thing. For example, your room is getting kind of dirty. It's about time you cleaned it. Lastly, in the UK, we can use the expression about time on its own to mean that something should have been done sooner. For example, you finished your homework about time. Okay, so there I'm basically saying, oh, you only finished your homework now? You should have done it sooner. Or, you're being very lazy, basically.
好，再来呢，我们要看到的是团聚、团圆，我们可以用 reunion 这个字。那常见的搭配词呢，有 family reunion， 那就是家庭团聚 ；class reunion， 同学会。那本句呢，你也可以用名词 gatherings 来表示聚集、聚会。So for example, Alexis hosted a gathering with her good friends at Thanksgiving， 代表这个人呢，在感恩节的时候与他的好朋友举办了一场聚会。
Some of my friends celebrate Friendsgiving, actually, and that's a mix of the words friends and Thanksgiving. What Friendsgiving means depends on the person. For example, for some people, it's about spending time with your friends instead of your family, okay? And for others, it has more of a political meaning. So some people want to remember the indigenous people in North America, 北美的原住民, who were treated badly after Europeans arrived in America. So, Thanksgiving is an interesting holiday for that reason. What Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, and Lunar New Year all have in common, though, is that they prompt people to take a break and spend time with people they love. Isn't that right, Elsie?
Right. 那再来呢，我们要看到的是促使、引起，我们可以用什么字呢？就是 prompt 来表示。那本句呢，你也可以替换成 motivate、inspire 或者是 spur。So, for example, what motivated you to choose a career as a mountain guide? 是什么促使你选择登山向导这个职业的？
Prompt can actually also be used as a noun as well. So, for example, we could talk about a writing prompt. A writing prompt is a sentence or a brief description that gives you the basis for writing a story or for writing a passage, okay? So that would be an example of a writing prompt. So what other occasions might prompt us to go back to our hometowns or visit family? Okay, so we talked about Thanksgiving. When else might we go back, Elsie?
Christmas?
Christmas, of course. We would go back at Christmas. Well, I don't think that I'm going to be going back this year. But hopefully I will be going
next
back
year.
The following Christmas. Yes.
And also here in Taiwan, we gather together on Mid-Autumn Festival too.
Yes, Mid-Autumn Festival. That is another time that you would gather with your friends or your family. For me, it's as I would say, it's friends.
没错，然后呢，聚在一起就要吃盛宴。盛宴呢，我们可以用 feast 这个字，它除了当名词之外呢，也可以做动词使用哦。搭配介系词 on， 表示尽情享用美食。So for example, the hungry campers feasted on the soup that Jamie had cooked over the fire， 代表饥饿的露营者们呢，尽情的享用 Jamie 在火上煮过的汤。
Oh, I love a good feast, mainly because I love to eat, but also because feasts normally include excellent, high-quality food. We could also say cuisine. That's another word for food that means very, very good quality food. So basically like 美食. So there are lots of different kinds of feasts. For example, we could talk about banquets. Now, a banquet is a big formal dinner, such as one at a wedding or a big public event. The royal family in the UK sometimes has banquets when presidents and heads of state come to visit. Another kind of feast which has more to do with the way it is served than the occasion it is served at is a buffet. That's B-U-F-F-E-T, buffet. A buffet is a feast where all the food is laid out on a table and people can go and take what they want to eat. So Taiwan's 自助餐厅 are buffets, but buffets can also be more formal occasions too.
Okay, and here we have a lot of all-you-can-eat buffets.
Yes,
right?
That's true. You pay one fee and then you can take as much food as you like. I love all-you-can-eat buffets.
Me too.
Anyway, let's stop talking about food and get back to Lunar New Year.
Okay.
I was going to say Thanksgiving. That's how long it's been since the last sentence.
好，第二个句子我们要看到的英文部分是什么呢？先请 Seb 告诉我们。
Of course. So, however, since many people return to their hometowns, it's harder than usual to book train tickets. That's very true.
这边翻译的句子中文是呢，然而啊，因为有许多人返回家乡，所以订火车票比平常更困难。没错，那这里呢是个事实，所以我们要用现在简单式来描述事实。那返回家乡的返回，我们可以用 return 这个字。那在这一句当中，我们也可以用 go back 或是 head back 来替换。So for example, the lunch break is almost over, so let's head back to the office now. 午休时间快要结束了，所以我们现在该回到办公室了。
It's also good to note that return here is being used as an intransitive verb, which means it doesn't have an object, but we can also use it as a transitive one. So just as you can return to your hometown for Thanksgiving or for Lunar New Year, you can also return an item to a shop. So if you buy a shirt and it doesn't fit, then you can return it to the shop and get your money back.
没错，你可以把它带回去，然后 ask for a refund, right?
Exactly. So one of the reasons it is so difficult for people to get home over Lunar New Year is that it is a peak time to travel. A peak time is a time when lots of people are doing something or using a service. So a peak time to travel is a time when everyone is on the road. I normally finish class at 5 p.m. and it takes me a lot longer than usual to drive home because 5 p.m. is a peak time. Lots of people are finishing work and class and school and they're all traveling home, so the roads are very busy. Now, when not many people are on the road, we can say that it is an off-peak time to travel. That's when the road isn't so busy and it's very empty. So if you drive to Kaohsiung at 5 in the morning, the road will be very empty, and we can say that that is an off-peak time to travel. It's going to be faster. Okay, so what is our next phrase that we need to look at in this sentence?
接下来呢，我们要看到的是比平常更的写法。我们可以用比较级，然后再加上 than usual， 像是这样的句子。Grant seems even more tired than usual. 好，所以我们前面看到了比较级 more tired， 然后再接上 than usual. He must be working longer hours. 代表 Grant 看起来比平常更累，他一定是工作了很长的时间。
Now, when we use this expression, it also kind of means that Grant normally is tired, or he normally looks tired. So if we say Grant seems tired, then that means that maybe normally he seems fresh, he seems awake. But if we say even more tired than usual, then Grant might always have bags under his eyes. He might always be kind of like, ooh, I'm so sleepy. But today he's really, really sleepy. So remember, you're using that when you want to emphasize a quality that is normally there anyway. Okay, so there are some special adjectives we can also use to mean more difficult than usual. For example, the word arduous. Okay, so arduous is A-R-D-U-O-U-S. When something is arduous, it is difficult and hard work. So if I say that going home for Lunar New Year is often an arduous experience, then you know that it is not easy for me to get home. It's probably very frustrating. I probably spend all day on the bus. There's probably gridlock traffic. There's probably lots and lots of cars on the road, so the cars aren't moving. And so it's a very unpleasant experience. It's a very arduous experience. It's more difficult than usual. Okay, we also saw this phrase book, didn't we?
Right, book 这边当动词用哦，代表订票。那我们可以用 reserve 来替换，像是呢，我们可以说 I reserved 2 tickets for us to see your favorite band in concert next weekend. 我替我们订了2张门票，下周末去看你最喜欢的乐团的演唱会。
Nice. Okay, let's take a quick break here and then we will move on to our second translation. Okay, so our second translation is going to be all about the environment and specifically responding to environmental changes. So, Elsie, do you think that we are doing enough to take care of the environment at the moment?
I think we're trying to, but still not enough.
Okay. What do you think some of the problems with the way What do you think are some of the problems with the way we're responding to the environmental situation right now?
I think every one of us should just take more. Okay, I think we should be more responsible for what we do in daily lives.
Okay,
Every one
so
of
people
us.
aren't taking enough responsibility. Right, that's a very good point. I think another one is that people disagree on the best way to respond to the environmental crisis. And that is actually what this translation is about. The first sentence says, it is predicted that the number of electric vehicles in the world will hit 145 million by 2030. Okay, so that is in 9 years' time. Or 8 years' time.
That's a great news, right?
That does seem like good news. We're actually going to be talking more about that in the second sentence, though. Is it good news?
所以呢，这边的中文是据预测，到2030年，全球电动汽车的数量将达到1.45亿辆。那这个也是个事实，所以呢，我们一样要用现代简单式来描述事实哦。那据预测呢，我们可以用句型 It is predicted that 加上主词以及动词，也可以写作呢，主词加上 be predicted to。以及一个原形动词。那不定词 to 加上原形动词的地方啊，它的动作会比主要子句的动词还要早发生的时候，我们可以用 to have 加上一个过去分词。那类似的用法呢，还有 it is said, it is rumored, it is reported, 或者是 it is estimated.That 再加上主词以及一个动词，代表据说、谣传、据报道或是估计。So for example, the driver of the truck was reported to have fallen asleep at the wheel. 据报道，卡车司机在开车的时候睡着了。
Exactly. Now, this sentence is well translated, but there are some ways that we can make it more engaging for the reader. One of them is getting rid of the passive voice.Now, there's nothing wrong with using the passive voice in English, but normally when you use the active voice, it is easier to read the sentence and it's often more engaging. It's got more emotion. Let's look at the sentence again and think about how we can change it so it uses the active voice in an engaging way. One way we can do this is by changing the subject of the sentence. Okay? So our original sentence again was, it is predicted that the number of electric vehicles in the world will hit 145 million by 2030. So here we're making electric vehicles the subject and we're using the passive voice, okay? So we don't know who has made that prediction, but we could use an easy word to swap that back into active voice. We could say experts because we guess it's probably going to be experts, right? It's not somebody on the road, on the side of the road who they've just asked how many vehicles are there going to be on the road. It's going to be somebody with authority. It's going to be somebody who knows a lot about the subject. So we could rewrite this sentence as, experts predict that the number of electric vehicles in the world will hit 145 million by 2030. Because we know experts are predicting that the number of electric vehicles is going to increase, our sentence sounds more authoritative now. Alternatively, we could use a different verb to show how the number of electric vehicles is increasing, like this example. The number of electric vehicles in the world will hit 145 million by 2030, predictions show. By using the word hit, we are creating a more forceful sentence that shows how the number of electric vehicles is increasing quickly. So increase just means get bigger, but when you say hit, because hit also means da, okay, it means to punch, to hit something hard. It gives us a sense that it's increasing very quickly. It's reaching a high number very fast. So that is a more interesting sentence than increase.
OK， 所以 hit 可以指的是快速的增加，很快的就会达到这么多辆的电动车。好，再来呢，我们要看到的是点点点的数量该怎么样表示呢？我们可以说 the number of 加上复数可数名词，或者是 the amount of 加上不可数名词。那注意哦，不要与这个 a number of 加上复数可数名词，还有 an amount of 加上不可数名词来搞混哦。刚刚讲到这两个的意思是一些，那就像是 a few 加上可数名词，或是 a little 加上不可数名词。好，再来呢，例句给的是The amount of snow we've gotten these last 2 days is making it hard to drive. 过去这2天的降雪量让开车很困难。再给同学们一个例句哦。A number of students were chatting and not listening to the teacher's instructions. 一些学生在聊天，没有听老师的指示。
So phrases like the number of are good, and I personally use them a lot.But they can also be quite wordy, by which I mean they make the sentence longer than it needs to be. However, we can reorganize the sentence so that we don't need this phrase. Here is an example. It is predicted that 145 million electric vehicles will be on the road globally by 2030. So what we've done there is we've changed the verb. So we've got rid of the number is increasing, and we've just said that there will be that many on the road. Okay, so by doing that, we've gotten rid of several words we don't need. We're saying the same thing, but it's a shorter sentence.
没错，那再来呢？刚刚讲到的动词 hit。再多做一些说明解释哈，在这边呢，它有达到高或低点的意思。那类似的用法呢，还有像是 reach 或是 come to。所以呢，例句我们看一下咯。Zimbabwe's currency has reached such low values that even snacks cost thousands of dollars there. 代表呢，辛巴威的货币已经达到如此低值，以至于那些零食也要花费数千块钱。
Okay, yes, that's a good example. So let's go on to the next sentence. So you'll remember at the beginning of this translation, I was talking about how people have different visions or different ideas about how we should respond to the environmental crisis. So what are these different visions and how do these relate to electric vehicles? Well, our second sentence says, some people view this technology,that's electric vehicles, electric cars. Some people view this technology as a tool in the fight against climate change, while others argue it's not a solution.
那我们这句要翻译的中文是呢，有些人将这项科技视为对抗气候变化的工具，而另一些人则是争论这不是个解决办法。So what do you think, Seb? Is it a solution?I
think personally on its own it's not a solution because because on the one hand electric vehicles don't produce CO2. They don't produce this bad gas that goes into the atmosphere and changes it. However, they run on electricity and we have to create electricity somehow, right?
Right, so we need to create more electricities for those electric cars.
Exactly. We have to think about how we're creating the electricity and also the other materials that we use in making cars. So it's not solving the climate crisis to drive an electric car. It is better. I do think it's better than driving a gas car.
Right.
But we can't say that it's the solution, in my opinion.Right,
it's better than those cars we drive now, but it's not a final solution.
It's not the final, no.
好，那这边呢，我们要使用的时态是现在简单式描述事实。那将人事物一分为二的句型，我们该怎么表示呢？因为我们的中文是有些人这样想，另外一些人则是争论那样的说法。好，所以呢，我们可以用 some 或是 some.Others 来表示有些，那范围是没有限定的。那如果是有限定的话呢，我们要用 some 跟 the others。那如果我们今天要把这个群体分为3份的话，那我们可以用 some， 然后接 still others， 或者是 some others， 然后再接 still others， 那 still 是可以省略掉的。好，那这也是范围未限定的时候用的。如果有范围明确的地方，那我们必须要用 some the others 或是 some others 再来接 the others。 For example, some of these buildings were built this decade, but the others are at least 50 years old. 这些建筑呢，其中有一些是在这10年被建造的，但其他的至少有50年的历史。 再给同学们一个例句咯。Some customers ordered Coke.Others ordered Sprite, and still others just wanted water. 代表有些顾客点了可乐，有些点了雪碧，还有一些只是想要喝水而已。
Okay, it seems like we're talking about a controversial or divisive topic. A topic that is controversial is a subject that people have very different opinions about. One good example of a controversial subject would be nuclear power.Some people like the idea of nuclear power plants because they reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. Other people are worried about the environmental impact of nuclear power as well as what could happen if a nuclear power station fails. Because these two groups of people aren't likely to agree with each other easily, we can say that nuclear power is controversial.The other word I used was divisive, and that's basically the same as controversial, but it means it kind of pushes people apart even more. It makes them argue, okay?
So 所以 controversial 跟 divisive 都是有争议性的。
Exactly.
好，那再来呢，我们要看到视为、认为，我们可以怎么用呢？第一个，我们可以用 view, take, see, recognize, regard, think of.Look upon 或是 refer to 加上 a 再接上 as be 或者是呢我们可以说 think or consider or deem a to be b 然后 to be 是可以省略掉的 So for example Teresa considers me to be her mentor So I'm doing my best to help her Teresa觉得我是她的导师所以我会尽力的帮助她那再来呢对抗打击我们可以用片语 in the fight against 来说像是呢 The development of vaccines was a big advantage in the fight against infectious diseases 代表疫苗的发展是对抗传染病的一大优势
I like the phrase in the fight against because it gives us a strong image of the struggle against infectious diseases. Other phrases you might want to use include the war against or the struggle against. You might have heard these phrases like the war against drugs or the war against terrorism. Now, these aren't actual wars. They are struggles for control over difficult issues. So we could say that doctors are waging a war against infectious diseases. Okay, so before we end our lesson today, let's go through the 4 sentences again, shall we? Lunar New Year is a time for family reunions, prompting people to visit family and gather together to enjoy a feast. However, since many people return to their hometowns, it's harder than usual to book train tickets. It is predicted that the number of electric vehicles in the world will hit 145 million by 2030. Some people view this technology as a tool in the fight against climate change, while others argue it's not a solution. Okay, well, I hope that helped you guys with your translation work for this month. We're going to be seeing you later for a topic writing unit, but until then, it's bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.